Hi, and welcome to the second lesson in my Classic Licks series for the guitar playing of Buddy Guy behind Junior Wells on their duets and their songs that they did together during the 60s and early 70s. In this lesson we're going to take a look at what I call rhythm ideas. The first lesson we looked at single string bass rhythms, which Buddy Guy uses a lot in his playing with Junior Wells. In this lesson I'm just going to show you a variety of other ideas that you could use in your playing to back up other musicians, to play behind a harp, to play with another guitar player, whatever you want to do with this kind of stuff. Let's start out with a tune called Hound Dog, and Buddy Guy and Junior Wells did their version on Junior Wells's Hoodoo Man Blues LP about 1966 or so. And in that song, on that LP, they do a great version of Hound Dog with Junior Wells singing. And this is an example of what I call minor chord rhythms. And there weren't too many blues guys that played this kind of rhythm on an up-tempo tune. And Otis Rush and Magic Sam and some others would use minor chords, but mostly in slow songs. So this is kind of a different sound for electric blues in the 60s. So let me just play kind of a verse through of Hound Dog. And he starts out singing, "You ain't nothing but a hound." Sure if I got the rhythm exactly right, but that's a minor chord, and what he's doing is playing in the key of A, and I'm taking that first position A bar chord and I'm just trimming it down a little bit. I'm putting my first finger on the first, second, and third strings at the 5th fret, and that by itself is a minor. And he could just be playing that, but I tend to hear a little more fullness in that chord when I listen to Hound Dog. So I think he's got his ring finger on the A, which is at the 7th fret of the 4th string. So you hear this. Kind of rhythm, kind of like that. And then sometimes he throws in a little bass rhythm, or bass line. Between the chord licks, but you hear him use over the one that shape. There's another tune he does in a minor key called Chitlins Con Carne, or Chitlins Con Carne, sorry. And he's playing in C. Kind of the same idea. I can't remember the melody of that offhand, but that's also like a C minor shape. Then when he goes to the 4, it sounds like he's just playing the minor chord, which you could play with 3 fingers. First finger on the 5th fret of the 1st string, second finger on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, ring finger on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. But it sounds to me a little more controlled, so he might be playing this whole bar shape with the first finger barring the whole 5th fret, or at least to the 4th string. And then that means he's got his second finger on the 6th fret of the 2nd string. He's got his ring finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and then to complete the minor, it's like an A minor shape. So he's taking this A minor shape, he's moving it here, and just putting the finger to replace the neck up there. And so he's playing the 4, he's playing this D minor, and then back to the 1. And then for the 5, he's just playing the E minor, which is the same as the D minor moved down to. So that's kind of a neat idea. If you get a kind of a fast groove going behind a harmonica player, you can play these chords. Throw in little licks and things like that too. I just kind of did that off the top of my head. So you could play a full bar chord there, but I think he's just playing something like that. So that is an example of a chord pattern. Now you will hear Buddy Guy when he's playing behind Junior Wells. A lot of times he does these, what I call one-finger minor chords. And he does it mostly up here over the first, second, and third strings. Like if he's playing an A, he could do one of these at the 12th fret. And sometimes he does it just kind of as a fill. Like you might have a tune like Hey Lottie Mama, where you got a bass rhythm going. And you might just throw that in. Kind of randomly toss that in. I don't think he does both of those things on the same tune. Then when you go over the 4, you can just move that 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17th fret, which is a D, same as this. Whoops. Same as if you were, whoops, that's the A, so that would be here. So this is the same, D minor, where I'm just using my first finger, first, second, and third strings at the 10th fret, that's a D, but you'll hear Buddy Guy do it way up here. And then there's one tune where he actually follows the chord progression, 5. So he's going to the E, to the D, and then back to the 1. So that's another way he uses minor chords. It's just kind of a part of another chord idea that you hear Buddy Guy using behind Junior Wells is just the idea of sliding ninth chords. And this is something you hear in a lot of blues tunes. There's one tune called Stormy Monday, Buddy Guy and Junior Wells' version. This is off an LP called It's My Life, Baby. And he uses an augmented chord to lead into the song. And then he goes to a sliding ninth. And that's how he starts off Stormy Monday. Then throughout the tune, he plays a lot of single string run. But he always kind of comes back to these ninth chords. Keeps them going throughout the song. So the sliding part, if we're playing in B, which is the key that Stormy Monday's in, I'll show you that opening chord. It's an augmented chord. I've got my first finger flattened out on the 7th fret, 2nd and 3rd strings. Got my second finger on the 8th fret of the 4th string, and my ring finger on the 9th fret of the 5th string. And just to start off Stormy Monday, he picks it real slow. To the 9th. Just like a lot of bluesmen in the 50s and 60s, he uses these first position and second position ninth chords. So a B ninth, I'd have my first finger on the 6th fret of the 5th string, second finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. I've got my ring finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and my pinky on the 7th fret of the 2nd string. And you can slide into it to start, like to go to the 1, 4. Second position ninth chord, which we've seen. Got my second finger on the E, so this is an E ninth, B ninth, first position, E ninth, second position. My first finger is on the 6th fret of the 4th string. My second finger is on the E at the 7th fret of the 5th string, and my ring finger is flattened out on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings at the 7th fret. Then if you listen to Buddy Guy and Junior Wells, he uses these chords in a lot of different ways. A lot of times he'll slide them, do something like that. And different picking things. On Stormy Monday, he does this really cool thing over the 1 where he does this. Something like that. Oh, I gotta remember this now. Oh. Something like that. So he goes. So on the B ninth, this would be what, a C sharp ninth, or C ninth, B ninth, C sharp ninth, C ninth, C sharp ninth, that's it. And then back to the B ninth. And then he follows it up, sliding from the B ninth to the C ninth, or C sharp ninth, and So that whole lick goes something like this. So it's like this. That's it right there. Then when the 4 goes, he can do all kinds of different stuff with this. And again, when they do these, I don't know if he's playing that full shape or if he's just using like the ring finger and just getting those 3 strings. To me it sounds more full, like he's playing the full 9th chord shape. You can do all kinds of stuff with those 9ths. So that's another characteristic of Buddy Guy's playing behind Junior Wells. Whether he's in the key of A or B or wherever he's playing, he will use those sliding 9ths. And the kind of rhythm idea is the C7th chords, the C7th shape. And I've already showed this to you a lot in some of the other stuff. But he uses the C7 shape quite a bit in different places on the neck. He uses it as an E7th, sometimes as a F7, but that shape is very useful. And a good song for hearing this is an instrument or a tune called "Checkin' on My Baby," which I used to play with one of my first bands, and it's kind of a fun tune to play. And he starts out in C7. If you don't know a C7 first position, it's just your first finger on the 2nd fret, first fret of the 2nd string. 2nd finger is on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Ring finger is on the C, 5th fret of the 5th string. And the 7th, you put your pinky on the 3rd fret. 3rd fret of the 5th string for the ring finger. 3rd fret of the 3rd string. Makes that a 7th. And if you listen to the tune "Checkin' on My Baby," he does a rhythm part, just all in 7th chords throughout the song. This is kind of fun. He does something like this. So what I'm doing there, just the C7, and that's the rhythm I'm hearing on that tune. "Checkin' on My Baby." Kind of cool. Then he slides it, moves it up, so my ring finger is on the 8th fret of the 5th string, keeping the C7 shape, and this is a F7. Playing that same rhythm back to the C. Then he goes to the, which is a G7. And then he does this little walking it from one step below or above. So he gets to the 5, he does. Like that. Sometimes he uses the 7ths on turnaround. So you hear this. Where he'll use that 7th chord. And then you'll hear him use that in lots of different ways. So that's a C7th shape, what I call rhythm patterns, which are just some real cool grooves that you could lay down behind a harmonica player or a vocalist or another guitar player for a jam session or to create a song. And these are all taken from Buddy Guy Junior Wells songs. I'm not necessarily going to show you every single note, everything, but I'll show you the meat of it, the main part. One of my favorites is from a slow tune called "Come On In This House." And this is in the key of A. And the whole tune revolves around this little lick in the key of A. Let me play it for you one time. Now there's one part of this that I think is probably finger picked. So I think Buddy Guy was probably playing with bare fingers on this. But you can do it without that, and I'll show you my way of doing it with a flat pick. The main lick goes something like this. simplified version, and I'll show you some little variations you can throw in. The basic lick, this is like an A7. So we're playing really over a long A chord shape. This is my first position bar chord in A. So I have this double stop with my first finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string and my ring finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. And that double stop is basically a 7th, and I can do the same thing up here on the 2nd and 3rd strings, but it sounds to me like he's playing it here, and he's sliding in from 1 fret below to that first lick. He's going to slide this ring finger from the 5th fret to the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. And he's going to get the 1st fret of the 2nd string, wind up on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Then he does this little lick, which I think is that. It's kind of hard to hear. He could be doing something like this. You can mix it up and play it both ways, but the basic groove calls for this. So I'm hammering on the 4th string at the 2nd fret, open 3rd string. Then I'm going to kind of grab the 5th string at the 3rd fret, and then let it go open. Whoops. So the whole lick, put it together. Then when he gets to the 4, it sounds to me like he's just kind of hammering a D7. And then back into the 1. He could do something like this. And just get kind of the open 5th again and back into the lick. And then he goes into the 5. It sounds like he leads into it, going from the open 4th string, 1st fret, 2nd fret. And you're leading into an E 7th shape, but it sounds to me like he's playing it something like that, where he's using his pinky and getting the 3rd fret, 3rd fret of the 1st string. And it also sounds like you could be doing this with like a finger picking approach, maybe using the pick on the open 6th string, which would be your E bass. And then leading in to the D. Now I did that just kind of randomly with a little bass run into the D, which is open 6, 1st fret, 2nd fret, and then to the D7th chord. And this little lick, I'll show you in another tune how he uses that to lead into the D. So that whole 5 part, he kind of goes into it. And I just play the simple. Something like that. And if you listen to the tune, Come On In My House, Buddy Guy will mix it up. Sometimes on that turnaround, he'll do something like this. And all I'm doing, I'm bending here, which is just like bending here on the 3rd string between the 5th and the 7th frets. But you can also do it here on the 1st and 3rd frets of the 2nd string. And I'm walking in, and then I'm hammering on, pulling on the 1st fret of the 3rd string into my E 7th chord. So that finger picked part whoops, I botched that. So that's that's what he's playing there at the end. So there's a really cool kind of rhythm pattern from the tune. Another one that I really like comes from a tune that's called Oh, You Don't Love Me, Baby. It's a Magic Sam tune, but Buddy Guy and Junior Wells do their version. And Buddy Guy basically plays kind of the same type of lick that Magic Sam plays on this tune. If we go back to one of the songs we learned in Lesson 1, their version of Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, it's kind of the same idea, but with some chords thrown in. Let me play this one for you one time, and then we'll break it down. So this is another kind of chord rhythm pattern that you can pick up from Buddy Guy and Junior Wells' playing. It goes like this. No place to go. And so on. So there's a kind of a cool groove that you could get going and play. And you could mix up, like when you go from the 5 to the 4 to the 1, you could just play it straight through, or you could do the stop time. So what he's doing, kind of similar to what we did in Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, leading in on the 5th to the 7th fret of the 5th string, to the 5th fret of the 4th string, back to the 7th fret of the 5th string, then to the 7th fret of the 4th string, 5th fret of the 4th string, 7th fret of the 5th string. Instead of the open, he's going to go to the 3rd fret of the 5th string. And he's going to go from the 3rd to the 5th fret, back to the 3rd on the 5th string, to the 1, 6th fret of the 5th string. So that whole lick. And again, he's muting with his right hand palm. And then for the 4, I think he leads into it. He's playing a C7th or a D7th chord, which I call a Magic Sam 7th chord. So he's playing, instead of this, sounds like he's playing this chord shape. So I've got my first finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. My pinky is on 5th fret of the 1st string. My second finger is on the 4th fret of the 4th string. And my ring finger is on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. And then my thumb will play the bass, which is wrapping around the 6th and getting the 5th string. Something like that, kind of a choppy rhythm. Back to the 1. And I'm not sure how he leads into that 5 chord, which is an E7th, the same as the D7. Exact same chord shape. But it sounds to me like he does something like this. Whoops. Like that. Back into that. And then so on. So I don't know if I got that exactly right. When he goes to the D, he does some kind of little lead in. Maybe using his thumb from the 4th fret of the 5th string to the 6th fret to lead into the D. I can't remember that tune right offhand, but there might be a few little subtle things that I left out. But that's the basic idea, and it shows you how Buddy Guy would combine those bass runs with the chords and some other things. So that is from a tune called You Don't Love Me, Baby. Another rhythm pattern that I like from the playing of Buddy Guy with Junior Wells is from a tune called Yonder Wall. And this is a simple little pattern that kind of combines a bass, single string bass run with some double stops. And it's really hard to hear what's going on this tune. And I'll show you what I think I hear, and if you can correct me, do it. But it's an A, so again he's playing over the A position. And he starts out, it sounds like a single string run, doing something like this. But then he goes into a double stop. I'm taking the basic pattern, so I'm going from the 5th fret of the 6th string to the 7th fret of the 5th string, and climbing down to the 5th fret of the, or down to the 5th fret of the 4th string, to this, up to the 7th fret of the 4th string. So it's like this. That's what you would play if you were playing single strings. What I hear in that is he's doubling up here on the 5th fret, 3rd and 4th strings when he's playing over the 1 in A. You can vary the rhythm pattern, do all kinds of things with that. And then when he goes over the 4, sounds like he's doubling up on the 2nd and 3rd strings. Or maybe even just getting the 7th fret on the 3rd string when he does this, but it sounds like, so the same pattern. And some kind of little riff there to get back to the 5. Now I listen real carefully to this song, Yonder Wall, and it sounds to me like sometimes he's doing something like this. So this time, instead of going to the 5th to the 7th fret on the 4th string, I'm just going from the 5th fret of the 4th string back to the 7th fret of the 5th string. So if I did it without the double stops, it would sound like this. Throw in the double stop, we get, and it sounds even like sometimes he's getting the 4th and the 5th strings, which is kind of odd, something like this. And I just hear that when it's over the 1, but again, this song has a lot going on and it's hard to hear exactly what he's doing. But if I take what I hear and make it just a basic rhythm pattern, I'd have this. I can reverse the picking, going from the 5. Instead of this, going the other way. Something like that. So there's another kind of cool Buddy Guy, Junior Wells-ish type pattern. There's some others. There's a song called Hoodoo Man that has a great little pattern in it. In that tune, he's kind of doing this. This one is, I'm still trying to figure out, but it sounds like he does this little bass thing. Over the 1. So I'm sliding in from the, could even be an open open 6th string to the 5th fret of the 6th string. This song is also an A. Then he goes to a 9th. This is kind of within the A blues box, but it's almost like an E. Sorry, E 9th, right. Then he goes to the A. It sounds to me like he's doing this quick little hammer-on thing from the 7th fret to the 5th fret of the 4th string. So the whole lick. Then he goes over the 4. Sounds like he stays on the 4th string or the 5th string at the 5th fret, but then he moves up to the D. And he's playing this on the 12th to the 10th fret. Something like that. Then he goes into this little D7th. So that's a D7th chord. And then he's going to do this little bass run. I showed you this before, and this is from Hoodoo Man. Then he does a little, so this is open 6th, 1st fret, 2nd fret. And you could play a D7th chord. But instead, what I hear is a single string run. And on Hoodoo Man blues, he's playing with a lot of tremolo, some effects. And it's hard to hear exactly what he's doing, but I hear something kind of like this. Well, something like that. So that whole turnaround from the 5. Like that, and he does kind of a bass drum. And does something to get back into the 1. So that's a pattern that he's playing, and the bass is playing something kind of like this. Something like that. The bass is playing that, and so he's just hanging these chords. Real sparse backup there. He doesn't have to stay busy playing all the time like he does on some of the other tunes. Now there's a lot more. Stormy Monday is a great song to listen to for a slow tune, and he does a lot of slow songs where he plays these chord patterns, but you can listen to those and figure those out using what I've shown you so far. Now the last part of this lesson, we're going to go through and look at some of Buddy Guy's single string licks, and he had some really epic single string licks that he uses as fills, and we'll get to that in the next lesson. I hope this lesson is helpful. I'm just sharing some ideas from Buddy Guy's playing with Junior Wells that I think are neat and useful. And if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, let me know. Just email me or put it on the comments and I'll take a look. I'll see you again soon with part 3 of this lesson.